Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be talking about a potential trade in the NBA that would land the San Antonio Spurs veteran Chris Paul. As today was reported by Bleacher Report that the San Antonio Spurs are going to go after Chris Paul and Fred VanVleet. Now, I'm not really sure if the Chris Paul one, if that's, if they're trying to go after Chris Paul if he gets waived, or if they're, going to try to go after Chris Paul in free agency. Free agency or in the trade market, but they're also looking to get potentially Fred VanVleet as well, who's a free agent just as he just opted out of his player option. So I'm going to kind of talk about the Chris Paul potential trade that would land him in San Antonio. I actually would love this pairing. You land him with Victor Wembanyama, with how good of a passer Chris Paul is, and a good facilitator. I think, having Chris Paul alongside you with, for Victor Wembanyama, it would be fantastic with how good of a passer Chris Paul is. I think that duo, Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama, would be really good because Chris Paul is still an elite passer and an elite facilitator, and having a guy like Wemby next to him would make it tough. It would be some good basketball. But let's go over what a trade would look like to land Chris Paul in San Antonio. I got 2 players and 2 picks going to the Phoenix Suns in return for Chris Paul. So I have Doug McDermott and Zach Collins going to the Phoenix Suns. Doug McDermott averaged 10 points per game this season, shot 41% from 3, and then Zach Collins had a really solid year this year for the San Antonio Spurs, averaged 11 points and 6 rebounds. Now, both of these guys are on expiring contracts, and it's kind of feel like these guys, both Zach Collins and Doug McDermott, kind of want out of, or I don't know if, necessarily wanting out would be the right words, because I don't know if we really know if they want out of San Antonio, but it kind of seems like San Antonio is ready to move both of these guys. And then they'd get 2 picks in the 2023 NBA draft. The first overall, no, I'm just kidding, not the first overall pick, but they do get 2 second-round picks with Zach Collins and Doug McDermott. So Phoenix gets 2 second-round picks. One is the 33rd pick in this year's draft. It's a solid pick. I mean, since San Antonio was the 3rd worst team, they have the 3rd pick in the 2nd round. So the 33rd, the 44th, and that they got from Toronto. I'm assuming that's from the Jakob Poeltl trade, I would guess. So they got the 44th, the 33rd, Zach Collins, and Doug McDermott for Chris Paul. That's a pretty solid offer. I mean, Phoenix gets Doug McDermott and Zach Collins, 2 really solid players, and two second-round picks. And Chris Paul goes to San Antonio. It would be a decent trade. I don't really know who says no in this scenario. I think if anybody's going to say no, it's going to probably be Phoenix. I don't really see San Antonio saying no, because Chris Paul and Greg Popovich, you talk about a duo of Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama. I think Chris Paul and Greg Popovich would be very nasty as well. I mean, those 2 guys, they're very smart when it comes to the knowledge of the sport of basketball, and both of those 2 guys working together would make Chris Paul better, but not only make Greg Popovich better as well. I don't see any way of San Antonio saying no to this trade. These are 2 expiring contracts in McDermott and Zach Collins, where they're trying to actually move both of these guys. 2 second-round picks. What are they going to do with these second-round picks? I mean, I could see them, being hesitant of moving the 33rd overall pick, but to land Chris Paul, I have no idea why San Antonio would not say no to this trade. I think the biggest, factor of, a team saying no would probably be Phoenix. But using your thoughts, this is for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out.